Hello, this is Father Louis Scurti with Friends of the Word. You met Heather Finn in a previous episode, and today we're going to develop the concepts that come from homelessness. I mean, what flows out of homelessness will curl your hair, believe me. Today we're going to deal with trafficking, money, and maybe politics. Thank you, Heather, for being willing to be
Oh
part of
my
this.
God, thank you so much for having me.
Um, when we're talking about trafficking and homelessness, I know you fed a lot of people sandwiches. Did anybody help you?
Yes,
That's important.
tons of people, tons and tons. I love it. So, one of the most amazing parts of handing out hope is having your volunteers, right? So, you have the people that no matter what will show up for you, will help you, whatever event you're doing. We do events to raise money to be able to give back to the community,
Hmm.
right? So, you constantly have to have a good circle of people around you being able to be willing to say, I'm gonna go do this crazy thing with you. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
some
yeah,
crazy days out there,
yeah. I
and
bet.
and there's been times like my friends have come from New Jersey, and a couple of them, Leah and Trish. They they welcome it. They're like, come on, let's go. We want to see everything you do. My cousin Stacy brings her kids. Like they want the kids to see it. So it's very important to have those support.
The
Oh,
awareness is
well, the
important.
awareness on top of it, because if the kids want to do it with you, that's a thumbs up, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
my when we started this, it was 2020, right? So my youngest, it was 12, and my oldest was 22, right? So that's young, right? They got their friends involved. My 22-year-old was a little like taken back. And she would say to me when I would bring her out, she came out with me a bunch of times, but there was a couple of times she said, I don't know how you do this. Because she was watching her age group
Right.
on the street. The one day we pull up at it was a abandoned Taco Bell and they were redoing it. And we pull in and I said to my daughter, I go, I brought a lot of toiletry stuff that day because I knew there was a lot of women there. And I said to her, just come out with me. I said, you do the women, I'll do the men. And she was like, I don't know if I can get out of the car. And there was one guy, and there's always handlers around. That's another thing. People don't understand. You have to watch around when you're giving out food or you're doing anything with the homeless or anybody in the community. There's always handlers watching. And I found that to be true because I'd be talking to a gal like, hey, here's my number, why are you here? You always try to, I'm not handing you a sandwich and driving away.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to know why you're there. What do you need? How can I help you? You know, tell me everything. I want
Good.
to know everything. I want you to come home with me and I want to shower you and shave your
Good.
legs and make you a good person. But like, like but like then all of a sudden this guy comes out of no place and my daughter was horrified. And she said to me, she goes, I don't know how you do this, Mom. She goes, I'm watching 20 something year olds and then I see this guy come out of no place, and I knew everything you have told me, I was seeing. And I don't think people understand when I speak about something, I don't talk about it because I watched a scary movie about it or I watched a YouTube channel. And I do watch a lot of podcasts and whatnot to educate myself, but I've been on the streets.
Mm.
I've seen people's faces. I've seen the desperateness in their face. I've seen the disgust that they even have in themselves on their faces. I've seen the helplessness. I've seen the please help me. So for for my kids to still want to do it with me is huge.
What is the task of a handler?
The handler is to make sure that you stay on the street. Keep doing your drugs, keep doing your sex trafficking. So a lot of like even here in New Jersey, right? You go to a Home Depot, you see all the Spanish guys outside Home Depot. They're being trafficked. A person drops them off. If they get work, they get brought back to Home Depot. That person picks them up. That person gets money. So that's why I really learned about handlers was this one area in Arizona. It's on McDowell, and it's like gas station, hotel, gas station, like a convenience store. And there was homeless, tons and tons of homeless, right? Didn't even know what to do with myself with the homeless. I couldn't believe how many homeless. And the migrants, and it was getting worse, and it was getting worse as time went on. And I couldn't understand it, and I was trying not to be so political about it, but and be welcoming about it, but it was too much.
Mm.
And I started seeing people just like living, like literally living, and I can give you pictures to post, like living in like these gullies next to the Home Depot, next to the gas station, next to the convenience store, and at the bus stop. And we have 20-year-olds like literally laying, and I don't mean like one, I mean like 12 of them laying there, and then you'd pull up and they'd like jump up because they were starving. They need water, they need socks. And I would have bags. I would have sock bags, I would have toiletry bags, I would have men's bags, I would have shaving bags. I would have all different stuff, and I had a whole trunk. And this was like my little mini, and I had it all separated. And we would go, "What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? What do you need?" And it would be like a free for all. But there would be one guy over there watching every single thing. And so one day,
You're from Jersey.
my girlfriend says, "You cannot do that." I said, "Watch me." I went, right. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I see you watching me." I said, "I'm trying to feed the people that you're not feeding." His window went right up. He didn't want to see. Charger. They always drive Chargers. It's so weird. Dodge Chargers. It was the
Mm.
strangest thing. Anyway, so I was like so blown away by it. Like I could not believe that these people are serious. And then it made me think of being in New Jersey. Like these guys getting dropped off at Home Depot when you would pick them up. I never did, but like people would say, "Go down to Home Depot. You can get a mason to like do your driveway or pick your wheat," whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's a handler always involved. And that goes to the cartel. And if we're going to segue to that. So every single person that comes over from Central America, I'm not going to talk about China, and I'm not going to talk about Iran and Middle East. I'm going to talk about Central America and Mexico the most, because that was the beginning, right? The Chinese and the Iranian, that's a whole nother thing, okay?
Mm.
But when they're bringing these people over, they have wristbands. And prior to Trump, again, this is I I care about humans. I don't care who's in office. I cared about humans when Bush was there. I cared about humans when Clinton was there. I cared about humans when I care about humans. Okay, so when you have a bunch of humans coming over, and you have Pelosi back in 2017, no, I'm sorry, 2016, taking full ads out in newspapers in Central America saying, "Come now, come all." And there's a whole art. I mean, you can look it up. There's plenty. I mean, maybe they scrub the internet by now, but like there's plenty of like facts about them saying, "Come, come, come," and them coming with wristbands, with shoes, with backpacks. They were given this stuff. They didn't come from Guam, Guatemala, wherever, with brand new everything on as they're crossing the border. It was given to them
Mm.
along the way. And I didn't know it. I didn't understand it so much. And I remember my mother telling me, Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party are organizing it all. I'm like, absolutely not. That's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. Crazy talk. It's reality. There are so many NGOs, non-government organizations. They spun it that way. Okay. They took a religious thing that used to be about the Catholic charities giving back. They took that and they used it, and they spun it into a different demonic kind of thing where they give to people to keep them sick, keep them in trafficking, keep them in labor trafficking, sex trafficking. NGOs are not good organizations. We'll get down that rabbit hole one day. But what I'm saying to you is that these people came because people told them to come. They didn't come because they were fleeing anything. They were told to come here. Okay, so now let's fast forward. Now we have migration that is out of control. Okay, they'll tell us that there's 10 million here. That's a lie. Anything they tell you, Border Patrol, there's a couple Border Patrol people that I've spoken to, email, Facebook kind of messaging, and watch them on podcasts and watch everything they talk about. They've been on many panels within the Congress, speaking to Congress. I watch all that stuff. I know it's crazy, but I do watch it. I have way too much time on my hands, apparently, but
Informative.
it is, but it makes me more educated because I can't talk about something and be passionate about something if I don't know about it, right? That's me. That's just how I am. So when I'm watching these people talk about how if they tell you 100,000 people have been killed from fentanyl, it's 300,000. Anything they tell you is three times. Rewind, when they were separating children at the border, that was Obama. It has nothing to do with Obama. The Supreme Court told Obama's administration, if you want to have these people, you have to separate them at the border, put children in a separate facility, swab them, make sure that they are with these people, this person that says they're with them, right? If not, they stay in that facility. Perfect. That's a good policy, right? Then Trump comes in and they say he's separating kids. He's throwing them in there. That was a policy that the Supreme Court put in place to protect the children, right?
Mm.
But what happens? We take that and we misconstrue it and we make it something else. Right now, we have no protection over children. Day one, Joe took every single executive order that he did the first day. He reversed everything to protect our children at the border, protect women at the border, and protect men at the border. Because men are also being trafficked, right? So you just strip everybody. You're saying we want them to come because we want them to be fleeing something so horrific, but yet the cartel has a wristband on them that tells them exactly how much money they've already paid, how much money they still owe, and where they're going to go. And now it's so high tech. I mean, back then it was just wristbands and Nancy Pelosi putting in a news article, but now it's come to the point where it's all electronic. The cartel has taken human trafficking of drugs. All right, we'll talk about the fentanyl, but the weed, the cocaine, that doesn't even make them money. The amount of money they make off of humans. There have been cartel members. Laura Logan has done, and Laura Logan is a journalist, a true journalist. You know who she is, okay? She knows all about the Middle East and human trafficking. She did a huge thing on the cartel, and she sat down with cartel members that were coming out of retirement to make a couple $1 billion. I have statistics here that will tell you that it's a $150 billion business. That was 7 years ago. That number. I think that number is 250 billion. How about that? That's just my opinion. But when you have 25 million people being trafficked, and you can listen, you can sell a bag of cocaine once. You can sell a child, a human, or a person
Over and over.
25 times to 30 times a day.
A day.
A day. That is a human. So if you're trafficking a child, you are making $150 to $200,000 a year for one child, and every trafficker has anywhere between 4 and 6 children. And that statistic was from 2019. That's done. Nobody's updated statistics. I went on even today before you got here. Like, what's the latest? Like, yeah, you find them from like 2023, but it's like vague. There's not a lot. It's like, why are we not really putting, because you were putting the statistics there the last administration. You wanted to know how many kids were in cages. Those cages were not in cages. Those kids were safe in cages, as far as I'm concerned. Because now, I don't know, 2 months ago, Joe's administration took away swabbing in the mouth. Okay? Swabbing in the mouth. Why would you take that away? Every child that comes, every person that comes over should be swabbed. Make sure that when they're found dead someplace, we know who they are and where they came from. So now you have ghost children.
That's a big term. Yeah.
Why is it ghost children? Because you have children that are coming in this country. They're not being. We don't know what their documentation is, right? You have a wristband that tells you when you scan it where they're supposed to go because there's safe houses all around America. Call me crazy. They're all around America. They go. Cartels running them.
And they're
Mesa.
not safe houses.
They're not safe houses, but they're safe houses, right?
Yeah.
And you have half of the cartel running anywhere from Phoenix, Mesa, Gilbert, all the way down to Tucson, where there's all these safe houses. So they come over the border, they're being put in. We had a house in Avondale down the road from me that had 2 million pills of fentanyl. That was 2 years ago. How many pills do you think they have today? 10 million?
Mm-hmm.
So anything that's happening, it's happening rapid. It's like, like you put your hands on the wheel and that's how it's happening. The human trafficking, the drugs coming in, the fentanyl, the guns. I mean, the guns are like nothing at this stage. It's the humans. It's the organs. It's the blood. Adrenochrome. Like people don't want to talk about that. It's on the black market. Go on the black market. Google it. I mean, like whatever I talk about is real. Like this is like real stuff. This is not like made up Heather stuff. Like I've been on the streets where I've seen. I was all ready, right? I was going to a benefit, and I got my hair done, and I thought I was fantastic, right? And I was just gonna go feed the homeless really quickly, and my girlfriend wrapped my hair in this huge. So I had my hair all in rollers, and she wrapped me and I had shocker, but I had this American flag scarf. So she wrapped it around. So I had this huge head. And I said, let me just go run downtown. I had sandwiches. Man, and this girl's overdosing on the side of the road.
Oh.
And I'm sitting with her and she's like, and I'm like in this thing and I'm calling the fire department. They pull up and they're like looking at me going like, where the heck did you come from? Like,
yeah.
But I'm like, I have to go. Like, but I just make sure she's okay. It happens every day. Every day. Somebody's dropping dead on the streets of Arizona every single day. And it's not from the heat. Like people are so worried about the heat. So, okay, the heat is a problem, right? Because if you're on drugs and you're on the fentanyl as much as you're on the fentanyl, you're going to overheat, right? So what does Arizona do? We don't try to get them help. We just bring a big huge van down to the site where all the zone where all the homeless are, and they get to go into the van, cool off, and get some water. What?
And then back on the street.
Right. That's your solution? Like when Carrie Lake was running for governor, I was a huge supporter. I did many rallies. She came to our club. I belonged to the Republican club in my community. She came just the other day, a year ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. She just came the other day. I came up on my memories, and she had a 19-page homeless plan. 19 pages homeless plan. I went through it all. I was going to work for her. I was going to volunteer. I didn't care if it was free. I didn't care because everything that she had was perfect. She was going to take these old hotels because that's what we used to do. Arizona got money to take all the homeless off the street that were in the zone. They put them into hotels all along McDowell, where I told you all the homeless would buy the supermarkets and Home Depots and all that. They put them in all these hotels all along there. Fire departments had to sit outside of every hotel because the overdoses were unbelievable. So our fire departments sitting outside hotels. Our fire departments are putting out fires. They're saving people from fentanyl every single day on the streets of Arizona. Then you have so you have the fentanyl, right? So we have $8 million Arizona gets. $8 million 2 years ago to put all the homeless people in hotels. They put them in the hotels. After the 8 million's over, they put them right back on the streets. So Kerry Lake's plan was to take that plan of putting them in the hotels and stripping the hotel of every single thing that had to do with human trafficking and say, this is going to become a facility. We're going to pay you to be a facility. Teach them how to live. Teach them how to be in recovery. Teach them how to get their kids back. Teach them how to get a job. Get them into whatever it was. She had a whole entire plan. She was going to take different facilities. We have so much. We have so much land in Arizona. We can build anything. You can build Honeywell and all this government defense everywhere in Arizona and 5,000 Amazon buildings. You can build a facility to take care of the people that are living on the streets in Arizona and put them someplace safe. Now, does every homeless person want to come off the streets? Absolutely not. They don't. You know that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But why don't they?
Dangerous.
Dangerous even for them, right? So, like, why can't you understand that? Why can't we get programs put in place to make sure that these people come off the streets safely? It's like anything else. You can't stop drinking because you're going to go in. If you're an alcoholic, you have to have a program. You have to have a safe place. You have to have a structure. You have to have some alcohol. Like, you just can't cut it off if you're not like. So what do you think is going to happen if you just cut off fentanyl? If you just cut off Xanax, and we're not going fentanyl. Now we got fentanyl mixed with horse trank. It's called trank. Philadelphia, they have 60 nurses in Philadelphia that are going around. This has been happening for over a year now, going around in the homeless community and doing wound care because the trank is literally worse than the fentanyl. It's mixed with all these toxins, all these chemicals. They take chemicals that you kill weeds with, and they give it to the people to inject. What? It's not normal. So you have these people living on the streets of Philadelphia that would rather have a nurse come and cut their foot off at the curb than go to a hospital. And that's a true fact. And it's trank. It's a tranquilizer mixed with fentanyl.
We'll stay there. If your head hasn't blown up yet, stick around. I think we owe a debt of gratitude to Heather and the insightful sharing that we're experiencing with her today. Heather, wow, thank you. There's more to come.
Always.
Thank you. God bless you.